props, and you may hear some noises. During the day, it makes it look a little strange, sound strange, but at night, it all kind of ties in. Also with the branches here, you may notice that it is kind of a tight squeeze. As we continue to work our way down the canal, folks, it will widen out for us. But here in the beginning, it is real narrow, so please keep an eye out for the branches. And along the way, if you happen to notice a branch that is making its way towards you, please go ahead and move out of the way of the branch. Don't just sit there and expect that both all of a sudden be able to dodge the branch. And then turn around and look at me and wonder why you didn't. So of course, along the way here, you don't have to stay in your seats. You can get up and you can walk around the boat. You can kneel on the benches if you like. All that we ask is that you just don't stand on top of the benches. The reason why is because one of the rails on the boat here is loose, and I don't remember exactly which one is the loose rail. So really, you may be doing me a favor if you can find out which one that loose rail is. At least that way I'll be able to let the next group know. And it would make some good pictures here for the rest of us as well. That's one thing I can promise y'all. If one of you was to fall into this water here today, first thing that's going to happen, folks, is that everyone else will just run and get their camera. Then they'll worry about how you're doing. And that's just the way it goes. Y'all remember that. And of course, along the way, if you happen to drop something important into the water, please just simply raise your hand. Then I will raise my hand, and that way we can both just wave goodbye. That's right. Now, before we really get started with the tour here, just a quick question. Is anyone actually from around here? Nobody. One person. Okay, I'll just need y'all to go along with whatever stories I make up along the way here, all right? Y'all catch me in the middle of one, just keep an eye in your head for me, just go along with it. It's important I find this information out early on in the tour, folks, in case I do have to make up something later. Because to be honest with you, usually the further away you live from here, sometimes the bigger the stories can be. And the sooner you realize this, the better off the rest of this tour is going to be for you. These are get out.
I mean, I did. I thought
the first one would be all. Now, folks, along the way, if you do have any questions, comments, please feel free to ask. Most of the time, I may not be able to hear you too well with the engines back here behind me, so you may just kind of have to yell at me or just walk back here if you have something. Like I said, please, along the way, if you have anything, feel free to ask me. Now, as we're working our way through here, you will notice along the edge of the canals, along the banks, there are a lot of fan-shaped bushes that are sitting out here. These fan-shaped bushes are called dwarf palmetto trees. Years ago, when people lived out in the marshes, they would use the dwarf palmetto as a type of shingle. They would stick the leaf right on top of the house, the shack, whatever it was that they lived in. Another purpose that it served is they would dry them out. You may notice how some of them would just kind of hang there, turning brown. Once they would dry these leaves out, then they would be able to weave them together and turn them into hats or baskets or whatnot. Because of course, when you lived out in the marsh and swamp, you had to be able to make use of what you had available to you. And along the way here, I will go over some of the other items that we use when people lived out in areas like this. But one of the first groups of people to really get credited for settling out in the marsh and swamps were the Acadians. The Acadians who came down from Nova Scotia, worked their way into New Orleans around mid-1700s or whatnot. Now, coming up ahead of us here, you may notice there is a pirate hanging from a tree, and over to the right side here, there's going to be a little boat. You can see the little boat yet. It should be coming up in a second. Like I said, these are props for the haunted tour. I know it's around here somewhere, coming up along this right side. Like I said, during the day it kind of stands out, but at night it's really different.
Alright, over here and right. Over here.
Yeah, these pirates. And really, folks, the boat that you see here, what that is That was the first attempt at swamp touring. Didn't quite go the way we planned. Hopefully this one's going to work a little better. One of the advantages that we have of giving tours at this location is the land along our right side is privately owned, and the land along our left side, and most of the land that we're going to see here today, actually belongs to the government. It's part of the Jean Lafitte National Park, and because it belongs to the national park, it is illegal for anyone to come back here and hunt the alligators that are found out here. And to give you an idea as to some of the sizes of alligators that can be found back here, folks, the average adult alligator in this area will be about 6 to 9 feet long. The biggest alligator that we have back here, he's about 12 feet in length, and his name is Big Joe if we get to see him. Now the thing about Joe is that Joe does not come out for every tour. Joe usually only comes out when he's hungry, when he is looking for something to eat, or someone to eat. Let me slow us down here, folks. Over to the left, there's an alligator sitting right along the edge of the bank here. He's about even with me, facing from left to right. The back is up so you get a better look at it. He's only about a foot or so out of the water, right on the edge of the bank.
Oh, yeah.
Now, one thing, folks, along the way you'll notice that whenever we stop or we slow down, we tend to drift from one side of the bank to the other. Just be aware of any branches that you may see getting closer.
Yeah.
Those spaces in there? Oh, I see. Space in there. I saw you spacing there.
Did everybody kind of get a chance to see this alligator who wants to see him? I'd like to make sure everybody gets a chance to see him because it took me about 30 minutes this morning to put him up there like that. So I had to get these alligators to sit still all day. Ain't as easy as it looks. So like we were saying about the size of the alligators, folks, if we do manage to come across Joe today, it's not going to be too hard to spot. Because, folks, Joe weighs about 700 to 1,000 pounds. He is the dominant alligator that's found in this area. And the Louisiana state record for alligators is 19 feet and 2 inches. To give you an idea as to how big something like that is, this boat here is 36 feet long. So that would be an alligator over half the length of the boat. The one thing about them is they are territorial animals. So from day to day, they will tend to stay in the same locations. Now, I know where most of the alligators back here like to stay at. So, of course, along the way, I will bring us to those areas. What you will have to keep in mind, though, is that it's not quite like Disney World out here, folks. You can't just press a button and they all come out singing and dancing for you. So if you were expecting to see singing and dancing alligators here today, I hate to disappoint you this early on in the tour. But one advantage that we do have with the alligators is, for the most part, they are used to coming to the boat, especially the ones that are in the water. Over here to the right, there's one that's kind of floating around. Slow us down a little. Depending on how it is, the hotter it is, the better chance you have of digesting it quickly. You know, so during the summertime, it won't take very long at all. During the wintertime, they won't even eat because of that. They can't digest it. It fluctuates throughout the week. During the day, you start making those mornings. It's not, yeah, for us, it may not be that big. It may not be that cold. The alligators, they don't like it at all. Folks, like I was saying, one of the advantages we have with these alligators is, for the most part, they are used to coming to the boat. And they will come to the boat because they are looking for something to eat. And if you're wondering what it is that alligators like to eat, the alligator's favorite food of all is tourists. That's why I asked in the beginning if anybody's from around here. And as I recall, there's only about 3-4 hands went up. So I know that in case of emergency, we are well stocked in what these alligators like best. To be honest with you folks, alligators just have this uncanny knack of being able to pick out the tourists from a group of people. It's really kind of amazing. Some of y'all are going to get to see this later on, up close. The ones that don't laugh at my jokes. That's right, might motivate you a little bit more now. Just to let you know, folks, I'm back here taking notes. We go down. I'm going to know who to point out to. I think some of y'all have noticed there is an alligator over here along the left side. Yes, it's back here. You can barely see his tail through the grass there. Now, this, believe it or not, is actually an alligator we look for. The reason for that is because he's a unique alligator. Now, I know he's in a bad spot for us to get a good look at him. But what makes this alligator unique, folks, is his tail. If you notice about the last 5 or 6 inches of it, the tail is actually bent. It makes almost an L shape right at the very end of it. And folks, for an alligator to have survived out here as long as he has with a bent tail is really kind of amazing. Because with alligators, it is survival of the fittest out here. But y'all, whenever we come across alligators back here that have bent tails, we like to call that a reptile dysfunction. That's what it is, folks. It's a reptile dysfunction. Yep. Now, don't worry about it too much, though, because usually you just give them some medicine, it'll straighten it right out for them. At least for a few hours, it will.
Stirred it up.
Just to let y'all know, folks, all the ones that we're going to see here today will be alligators. There are no crocodiles in the wild in the state of Louisiana. Only place in North America that you can find crocodiles in the wild is going to be in Florida, and it's the Everglades, if I'm not mistaken. But here in Louisiana, we only have the North American alligator. And folks, we have 2 types of North American alligators. We have the right-handed, and we also have the left-handed. That's right. Really just depends on what side of the boat you're on. One thing about this tour, folks, if you haven't quite caught on yet, this tour that you're on, this is a simple tour, and I will continue to prove this to you throughout the rest of the tour here, just in case you was worried I wasn't. Or better yet, in case you was worried that I wasn't. But over to the left side coming up here, you will notice this big tree that we're about to pull up to. This big tree, as well as the taller trees in the background, these are cypress trees. The Louisiana state tree is the bald cypress. They can live to be between 600 to 1,000 years old. And if they were to fall into the water here, they actually preserve themselves. You can come back to them 100, 200 years from now, and they would still be just as good as the day they fell in. Some of the older homes in this area, some of the older boats, even the benches you're sitting on right now are made from the trees that you see here. And you may even notice at the bottom of the tree, at the base of it, the stuff sticking up out of the water around it, that's called cypress knees. The knees are the root system of the cypress tree. Now we'll provide for the tree, and it's going to stabilize the tree. And as we go down these canals, you will see a lot of these knees sticking up along the edges of the banks here. And also, you may notice all the tall grass that's out there. What that is, folks, is that's marshland. And just a simple way of putting it, what marshland is land on top of water. Now, it may look like it's safe to get out and walk in it. Some places out there might be. But for the most part, really, once you get out into the marsh, you're going to start to sink. The marsh is real soft and it is real loose. Local hunters and trappers, what they will do to work their way across this grass is they will try to fold the grass underneath their feet as they go along. But even with doing that, you are still taking your chances. And that's probably why we lose so many hunters and trappers each year here. No, I'm just making that last part up, folks. Just trying to see who's paying attention, that's all. Kind of like a pop quiz. Most of you did all right. Now, you may notice that there is a little sign coming up along the left side here telling us about the alligators. That sign is there because of our big alligator Joe. When he's out and when he's eating, one of the spots he waits for us is up ahead where the 2 canals meet at. I don't know if he's up there right now or not. We really won't know till we get up there. But one of the differences between him and the rest of the alligators that are back here, as we mentioned about them being territorial, well, wherever you see the smaller alligators, folks, that's generally where they will spend most of their time. The difference with Joe being that he is the dominant male alligator, everything that we see here today belongs to him. So from day to day, tour to tour, he can actually be in different locations. He will come and go as he pleases. He's got free reign of the whole area that's out here. So really, we'll just have to keep our eyes open along the way in case we do come across it. One thing that happens because alligators are territorial is that larger alligators will kill smaller alligators. So by some chance, if we have to come across a group of alligators, usually it's only the biggest one that gets to come to the boat. The smaller alligators tend to just kind of sit back and wait for the bigger alligator to finish whatever it is he's doing. Now, coming up ahead of us, you may notice that there's some more branches hanging over the canal. You might recall from earlier on when I mentioned to you about stuff possibly falling into the boat or crawling into the boat. Well, what I was referring to is the fact that in Louisiana, we only have 50 different species of snakes. Only 50. And the good news is, out of those 50, just 6 of them are poisonous. And if you're wondering, you can find all 6 of them out here. And to give you an idea as to which 6 we have that are poisonous, folks, we have 3 types of rattlesnakes, a coral snake, a copperhead snake, and the water moccasin, otherwise known as the cottonmouth snake. And y'all, if any of these snakes happen to make their way aboard the boat here today, please feel free to just go ahead and bring as many of them home with you as possible. Now, I see y'all have some bags and purses and whatnot. Folks, you stuff a lot of snakes in those bags. Trust me, I've seen it done. It works. I wouldn't lie to y'all about something like that. There's plenty of other things for me to lie to you about. No reason for me to lie to you about something like that.
Look at the turtle.
That's the truth. At least this time. But over to the left, there's a little turtle sitting out here. Now, a little advice, folks. Along the way, if you're interested in getting pictures of birds and turtles, the best advice I can give you is that if you see them off in the distance, don't say, oh, wait to get a better picture once we get closer. Birds and turtles usually take off on us once we get closer. Like I said, alligators are different. Alligators generally like to come through the boat. Birds and turtles tend to just kind of take off on us once we get closer. He's in a bad spot for us to stop right here. We'll just drift into these branches. So like we were saying about the snakes, folks, I'll tell you what, if we could just go ahead and designate someone out of the group here as our official snake catcher, that would really help me out. Now, you don't necessarily have to volunteer for the position. You can also be nominated for it. Because what I don't want to have happen is what just did happen. What we don't want to have happen is one of the snakes land in the boat here with us, and all of a sudden everybody turns around and looks at me and wonders what I'm going to do about it. Because, folks, I'll be honest with you, there is nothing at all that I am going to do about it. I don't like handling snakes anymore. Most of you probably like handling snakes. I don't mind alligators, but snakes are not my favorite part of the tour here. That's why I'm glad so many of you were nominated. And those of you that were nominated probably didn't even realize you got nominated. But you'll find that out when the time comes, so there's no sense in us rushing it. Now, while we're sitting here, there's usually a couple of alligators that like to wait here on us. Of course, because I said this, neither one of them are going to pop out for us. Alligators have a sense of humor, folks. They try to make me look bad. I don't need their help for that. Come on, boy. Come on. Come on. Now keep in mind, folks, I am a trained professional at calling alligators. All right, don't just anybody give this a shot. There's no telling what might happen if one of y'all was actually do this. We'll go ahead a little further down.